This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Kelly, before we get into this episode, I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah?
Don't you find it unfair that women have to get all dolled up and do all of this prep work for dates while men have to do the bare minimum?
Yeah. Women always get the short end of the stick. I'm over here tweezing my eyebrows, shaving my armpits, and you know.
Yep. Well, I have some news for you. Our sponsor for this episode is a company called Manscaped.
What?
Yes. For Christmas, they're having a special offer. So jingle balls to the walls, fellas. Listen up.
Did you know that untrimmed pubes are a thing of the past?
It's time to gear up and get yourself the gift of shaving this holiday season. I'm talking about the Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0.
We've all heard those horror stories about the special haircuts.
That's why this revolutionary company, Manscaped, has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their Lawnmower 2.0 has proprietary advanced skin-safe technology, so this trimmer won't nick or snag your nuts. It's also waterproof, so you can use it in the shower.
The Lawnmower 2.0 comes inside their Perfect Package 2.0, which makes for the perfect gift this holiday season. It's literally everything you need to keep trimmed, cut-free, and smelling nice down there.
And don't use the same trimmer on your face as you're using on your balls. That's just nasty.
Ew! The Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0 also includes the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant, and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits. Why are you not putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? And yes, guys, your balls stink.
Speaking of sweaty and stinky balls, they also have what's called their Crop Reviver. This product, along with the Crop Preserver, keeps your balls from sweating, smelling, and sticking.
Let me tell you something. These products smell good. The manly scent is attractive, and it'll help you set the mood, if you know what I mean.
The Perfect Package will also come with a pair of Manscaped boxer briefs that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day. It's time to upgrade those overused pair of boxers to Manscaped's high-performance anti-chafing boxers.
'Tis the season to manscape, so get yourself, your dad, your brother, your friends, the best gift of all, the Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BIGHEADS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code BIGHEADS. Clean up your nuts and make Santa proud this year.
Hey guys, welcome to the Fa La 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 Faves of Our Lives. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Brittany.
This week we're eating junk food and watching rubbish, specifically frozen dinners and Little Nero's pizza. Brittany, take it easy on the Pepsi and make sure your toothbrush is approved by the American Dental Association.
Okay guys, today we're talking about Home Alone. It premiered November 16th, 1990. It was directed by Christopher Columbus. The cast was Macaulay Culkin as Kevin, Joe Pesci as Harry, Daniel Stern as Marv, Robert Splossom as Marley, Catherine O'Hara as Kate, and a special appearance by John Candy. The plot of the movie is an 8-year-old troublemaker must protect his house from a pair of burglars when he is accidentally left home alone by his family during Christmas vacation. Now, one of the things that Kelly and I discussed watching this was, as a kid, we thought that Kate, the mother, was just an absolute bitch. How dare she leave him, even by accident, home alone? But now that we are mothers...
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Kevin started, and I was like, that little fucking brat.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, man, I don't remember him being this much of a brat.
Me either.
He really was a cute kid, though.
Yes, he was. And I remember loving that character as a kid and not thinking that he was a brat. But as an adult, you understand why he has to be a brat. It's kind of like some odd version of It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
He had to learn to behave and love his family and appreciate what he has. So he had to be a complete shithead in the beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess because when we were kids, we were probably little assholes too. So we were like,
I'm sure.
This kid's normal. Why is his mom all crazy?
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that as a kid, as much as it was kind of scary, it was also a fantasy as a kid to be, you're there home alone, there are no rules, you create your own rules, and he's a little badass with the burglars, so you look up to that and you see that. I can see where kids love it, I can see where adults still enjoy it. It's a good movie.
Yes, I will say that I enjoyed it more as a kid because as a mom it gave me a lot more feelings because I just kept picturing Cruz like Home Alone and how he would feel, and they didn't have cell phones, so it wasn't like they could just call and be like, hey, we're on our way.
Yeah, and there's a lot of instances that occur that as watching the movie you're thinking, okay, well, how is that even possible? And then you have to remember, this is in 1990. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of it is still far-fetched, but within that time frame, it's not as far-fetched as it is today.
When the mom told that older girl to take a head count, I was thinking, like, really? Like, you can't trust her or whatever, but she did. She took a head count, and there was the right amount of kids. It was just a weird turn of events.
And that kid was the exact same size as Kevin.
Yeah, but I still don't understand why the neighbor kid was just over there harassing the driver.
Oh, listen, I've had neighbors like that.
Okay.
They just come over and do whatever in the hell they want. And kids have no boundaries.
Yeah, I know, but it was just weird. Also, I know this was a different time, but I also thought it was weird that Harry's just, like, hanging out in the entryway of their house. Like, nobody let him in. Nobody knows him. Like, yeah, he's dressed as a cop, but it's just weird.
It is very weird. And that's a good segue to kind of start getting into the movie, because the movie starts with all of the kids and adults. They're just running around the house crazy. Harry, which you don't know his name at the time, but it's Joe Pesci, and he's dressed as a cop, and he's trying to speak to the owner of the home, but it's just a bunch of kids and random people stopping saying that they don't own the house. The pizza guy shows up.
He keeps saying, "Are your parents here?" Yeah, but they don't live here.
Yeah. Well, and then is it Kevin that he talks to, and he's like, "Is your father here?" Yes. Is he the owner of this house? Yes. But he's not here right now, or, he's doing whatever. The guy can't catch a break, but he's not there for good reason.
Yeah.
During all of this back and forth between Harry and everybody else in the house, you see Kevin and Kate, his mom, they are just arguing back and forth because she told him that he needed to pack for the trip. They're going to France. He says he's too little. He doesn't know how to pack. So he's trying to find somebody to help him pack. His sister tells him that he's incompetent. Nobody else wants to help him pack. You do kind of feel for this kid. I mean, he's being a brat, but all of his brothers and sisters are too. Mm-hmm. One of the kids tells him that he has to sleep with Fuller. Fuller wets the bed if he's had too much to drink. I mean, as a kid, that would be something that would set you off.
Yeah. And everybody ate his cheese pizza.
Yes.
That's a crime.
Also thought that it was really cute that he made Christmas ornaments with his dad's new fishing hooks.
Yeah, I thought that was cute too, but his dad didn't seem to like it.
No, but his reasoning was ingenious. Well, I couldn't use the old ones. They have worm guts all over them.
Right. That's gross.
But yes, they order Little Nero's pizza. The delivery guy delivers the pizzas. There's 12 of them. It's like $120 or something, which I didn't think was too bad for 12 pizzas, depending on what's on them. So they get their pizza. Kate pays for the pizza and gives him a good tip. We know this because he actually says, "Hey, nice tip."
Yeah. I had to stop at this point and look at IMDb because I thought for sure this pizza delivery boy was one of the McPoyles, but it was not.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about. All hell breaks loose in the kitchen, though, because when Kevin gets in there, his cheese pizza is completely gone. Buzz, his older brother, says that he finished it. The only way he's going to get a piece is if he throws it up, and he tells Kevin to get a plate, and he's pretending like he's puking. This is when Kevin lays into him. Fuller gets his face smashed with a chair. Pepsi gets spilled everywhere. I'm pretty sure that what happens is one of the plane tickets gets thrown away. Is that what I saw?
I'm not sure. I know that milk got spilled on the passports and everyone was freaking out.
Passports. I just noticed that, like, they purposely showed that something got thrown away that wasn't supposed to. And I'm sure that comes into play when they're at the airport, because otherwise you'd have an extra passport or an extra ticket.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that it was Kevin's passport that was laying there.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, this is where Uncle Frank says, "Look what you did, you little jerk."
Dude, fuck Uncle Frank.
Yeah,
He's an a-hole.
Really, really uncalled for. Don't do that to a kid.
I really, right off the bat, did not like Uncle Frank. And he says something later that's so stupid.
Kevin gets sent to his room, and listen, I kind of understand he started reacting violently. A kid can't act that way, but why did none of the other kids get reprimanded? Like, Buzz was being an asshole too.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin gets sent to his room. Well, not his room. He has to sleep in the attic because he doesn't want to sleep with Fuller. So he sleeps up there by himself. There was also a scene before this where he was in Buzz's room bugging him. It was to help him pack. And we see Marley out on the street. He's shoveling salt on the sidewalk. And there's this big elaborate story of how this guy killed his entire family. And he kills other people. And he keeps the bodies in the bucket with the salt. So Kevin is terrified of this guy.
Buzz also says, "I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing out of my ass."
Yeah. I mean, Buzz has some pretty good lines. I do like the character. It's just, if that kid was real, he'd be a little dick. When Kevin is going up to the attic, he has this big argument with his mom. He tells her that he wished that he didn't even have a family because they all hate him. She says, "I really hope that you don't mean that." And he says, "Well, I do." And she said, "Well, say it again and maybe your wish will come true." So he does. She closes the door on him. They all go to bed. They're supposed to wake up first thing in the morning. A big windstorm comes. It zooms in on, like, the Santa Claus wreath or whatever, so I'm assuming you're supposed to think that it's like a Christmas quote-unquote miracle or an act of God. A tree limb falls on the electric line. It turns all of the alarm clocks off, so when they wake up, they're running late. They have like 45 minutes to get to the airport.
I thought it was funny that when the mom and dad woke up, they both say, "We slept in."
Yeah.
I don't say that. I would say, "I overslept."
Yeah, or we're late.
Something like that. Who says we slept in?
I'm not sure. And the fact that they both said it.
Yeah, it was very, I don't know, that just struck me as weird. And can we talk about the wallpaper and the decoration above their bed?
I didn't notice it.
Oh my gosh, it's hideous. It's so 90s, though.
The house is just in utter chaos. Everybody's running around, trying to get ready, grabbing their bags, taking them outside. Like you said, the oldest kid is doing a head count. She counts the right number of people because the little kid from across the street's over there in the van. The mom comes out and she asks, did you do a head count? Yes, we're all accounted for. So you can tell right away that Kate feels like she's forgetting something.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that this scares me is because I always feel like that.
Oh, I hate that feeling. I feel like that all the time.
So, it's really easy to feel like you're forgetting something and just think, okay, I feel like this all the time.
I feel like that every time I walk into the plant at work.
Yeah. They get to the airport, they're running all over the place. A little bit of a tangent here, they play the song Run, Run, Rudolph. When I was watching this movie, my son came in. It's the first time he's heard that song. He loved it, and he ran all over the house the entire time that song was on.
That's so cute.
But they make it. By some miracle, they make it to the terminal. She says the plane has not left. She takes all of the tickets. They all get on the plane. The parents are in first class. The kids are in coach. That's the way you should travel.
Yeah, I would love to fly first class. I've never done it.
I would too. I don't think that I've even been on a plane that has first class.
I have, but I think it's stupid because they board first class first, but you have to walk past them. So you're like bumping into all of them to get on the plane, and they're just looking at you like, I'm better than you, I'm in first class. Which, I mean, if I was in first class, I would be looking like that too.
Get in the back, you peasants.
Help me, I'm poor.
Yeah. They're on the plane, and it cuts back to the house because Kate says, I feel like I forgot something. This is where you see Kevin poke his head out of the door. He comes downstairs. He's saying, Mom, Buzz, Dad, Uncle Frank. He's naming them all off. Nobody is there. He sits down, really sad looking, and he says, I made my family disappear. Then he smiles, and he looks straight at the camera, and he says, I made my family disappear. And I thought he was so cute in this scene.
Yeah.
He immediately starts celebrating. He's popped popcorn, he's jumping on his mom and dad's bed, he's running around the house screaming. I mean, pretty much anything that a kid this age would do if he found out that he was there by himself.
I mean, do you remember being home alone when you were like a teenager?
Yep.
It was so awesome.
It was awesome. Actually, there were a few times when I was like preteen, like my parents would go somewhere, you know, just for a little bit. I was literally doing flips on the couch.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. It's like, okay, I've never wanted to do this before in my life, but I can do it now.
Yeah. You're just like flipping through the channels. You can watch whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, my kids, your kid is probably spoiled too. Like, I let my kids watch whatever they want. Like, when we were kids, we had to watch, like, freaking Golf or whatever.
Yeah.
Our parents were watching.
Yeah. Well, and I know when you say whatever you want, it's like, oh, you want cartoons or whatever. It's not like you're letting them watch Saw.
Right. But I'm saying, like...
Yeah, they have their own TV.
Yeah, like, they get to watch PJ Masks all freaking day.
Yeah.
Until the song is stuck in my head. And then I'm just, like, watching it. But when we were kids, if my dad was watching Golf, then we were watching Golf. Like, there was no choice about it. And we didn't have
Mine
tablets,
was NASCAR,
like,
though.
go watch your show on your tablet.
Yeah.
You just had to watch Golf or go do something else. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, he also has a plate full of, like, it's ice cream and cereal and just a bunch of stuff. This is where he yells, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. He's watching a movie called Angels with Dirty Souls or Filthy Souls. I'm not sure which. But it's a mobster movie. This entire dialogue of this movie is iconic. I know for a fact there are people who could recite it word for word. This is where this older gentleman is speaking to another man. The guy's telling him that he owes him money. The old guy says, you're not getting the money. He says that he's going to talk to AC. Yeah, of course, we don't know these characters. He pulls a gun on him, and he says, you know what I'm going to give you? I'm going to give you to the count of 10 to get your no good, scheming keister off my property. And he says, 1, 2, 10. Shoots him with a machine gun and says the iconic line, keep the change, you filthy animal. Kelly was going to order a pizza and tip them 20 cents and tell them.
Yeah, I was. But my kids ruined that, so. They didn't want pizza, they wanted pancakes.
Well,
I guess I am the adult, but like I said, they're spoiled, so we got pancakes.
I did eat a lot of Little Caesars tonight and drink a lot of beer, so I apologize.
Well, I am drinking my White Claw, so
there you go.
I'm fine.
Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a White Claw.
I thought it was also cute that he's, like, visibly shaken by this scene at first. He's covering his eyes and peeking through his fingers.
Yeah. One of the characters' name is Snakes.
Yes.
I was gonna say that my name was Snakes on the intro, but I didn't.
So we cut back to the plane. Kate is flipping through her wallet frantically. Her husband says, what is wrong? And she says, I cannot shake the feeling that I forgot something. She starts naming off a bunch of things until she says, did you shut the garage door? And he says, no, that's it. I forgot to shut the garage door.
Which I kind of feel like he's just saying that just to ease her mind. Because that's totally something I would do. Like, Chad asks me all the time, did you lock the door? Which I always do, but then he'll be like, did you do this? And I'll just be like, yeah.
Right.
I don't know, but I'm not going to listen to you worry about it all day.
But he did forget the garage door.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, because when Kevin runs out to see if his family has left for the airport, he runs out and he sees the 2 cars sitting in the garage.
Oh, yeah.
And he says the cars are still here. So, I mean, that was a nice little detail that they added.
Yeah.
She does eventually say, no, that's not it. And this is where you get the iconic, Kevin! And I am going to tell a really quick story because it was a couple years after this film came out, but my cousins and I were obsessed with this movie. We were on a vacation one time. We took 2 separate cars. We stopped at this little restaurant. It was kind of like a Cracker Barrel, but much smaller. Mm-hmm. We ate. It was time to go. We got in the cars. My mom, my dad, my aunt, and my cousin got in one car. My uncle, myself, and my other cousin were in the other car. And for whatever reason, my mom started flipping out because I was not in the car.
Yeah.
Nobody knew if Kevin took me or not, because that was my uncle's name.
Oh.
And my cousin, without missing a beat, sat up and put his hands on his cheeks and yelled, Kevin!
Oh my god.
So,
hilarious.
At least he made a little light of the situation, but yes, they pulled over, flagged Kevin down, they saw that I was in the car, and my mom cried hysterically because she thought that they left me at the restaurant.
Oh my gosh. And then Uncle Frank pisses me off and says, if it makes you feel any better, I forgot my reading glasses. Like, no,
Yeah.
Uncle Frank, that doesn't fucking make me feel any better because it's not even close to the same thing.
It does not
Idiot.
equate. We go back to the house. Kevin is sleeping watching The Grinch when he hears a noise. It is Joe Pesci, Harry, with this other guy named Marv. They
Marv.
are scoping out the streets. They keep calling Kevin's house the Silver Tuna. This is where, like, it must be the richest house on the street. So they're wanting to go in there.
I mean, it is a nice house.
It is a very nice house. Harry has all of the automatic timers on the houses, like, down to a T. When the automatic timer comes on the McAllister house, he's like, see, I told you, nobody's home, they went to France, let's go in. The problem is they're going in through the basement, which does not have an automatic timer, because back then they didn't have those, you know what I mean? Like, they had automatic timers, but they didn't have the motion sensor lights or whatever. So when they touch the doorknob, Kevin turns on the basement light, and they're like, oh shit. So they take off running. We go back to France. They made it to France. Kate is running towards the payphones. I love, she like rips the phone away from this one woman who doesn't even speak English. She's just like, I need the phone. I need the phone. I need the phone. She tells the person on the other line, she'll have to call you back, and hangs up. She calls the police department. She gets transferred back and forth. It's extremely rude that they keep calling her Hyper. Like, they don't give her a name or anything. They just keep saying Hyper on line 1. Well, of course she's fucking Hyper. Her kid is missing.
Yeah, I think it's funny that they keep saying Hyper on line 1.
And she can hear all of it.
Yeah.
But they do end up saying that they will send an officer to the house. The officer comes to the house. Kevin doesn't answer because he's hiding under the bed. The cop knocks on the door, makes no attempt to enter the home or look in the windows. Like, he seriously knocks 3 times and nobody answers, and so he's like, well, they must be wrong, the kid's not here. Like, do they think that he's really gonna answer the door? And the reason, like, he wouldn't answer the door anyway, because even back then, anybody could pretend to be a cop. Harry just did it in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
But the cop ends up going away. You see Kevin under the bed, and he says, you know what? I can't be like this. I can't be scared. I'm the man of the house now. And so he goes outside, and he says, I'm not scared anymore. Do you hear me? I'm not scared. And this is where Marley walks up and terrifies the shit out of him. He takes off running through the door and up the stairs and hides under the covers. The only problem with this is you just ran in the house and did not lock the door behind you.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes that this is exactly what I would do if I was left home alone. Hide under the covers the entire time.
Yeah, same, especially at night. But I would make sure I locked the door.
Yeah, true.
We see Kate and her husband back at the airport. She's trying like hell to get a flight back into Chicago. She cannot get a flight into Chicago. All of the flights are booked. They tell her she can wait in the airport terminal to see if there's anything that opens up. She says, yeah, I'll do that. She sends her family back to her brother-in-law's house or the hotel, wherever it is that they're staying. She does not end up getting a plane ticket by waiting that way. She ends up bribing this old couple. It's cute and it's sad because she's like, I'll give you $500. This is a first class ticket for Saturday. You get to stay 2 more days. Here are my earrings. You can have my earrings. And the woman says, is that a real Rolex? And she was like, do you think it's a real Rolex? So, I mean, really anything on this woman, she's giving this couple just to get this plane ticket. And the guy says no, but she says, please, I am desperate. And they end up letting her take their tickets. The problem is it is not into Chicago. It's just back to the U.S. So when she gets back to the U.S., she's actually in Scranton.
Yeah, I wrote that.
I love that.
I just wrote Scranton !
I honestly thought maybe the guy that she was speaking with was Dwight's father, but then I remembered that he was a farmer. So we see Kevin is actually taking care of himself. He just got out of the shower. He's talking to himself in the mirror about how he has cleaned every crevice, including in between his toes and his belly button, which he'd never done before, but he actually kind of liked. Kelly, you know me, I would have thrown up.
Yeah, Brittany's afraid her insides are gonna fall out through her belly button.
Yes, like, I'm not gross, I do clean my belly button, but not very thoroughly because what if it bursts? It's just a scar, that's all it is.
Quick anecdote, one time when I was pregnant, I text Brittany because I think she was pregnant too, and I had just had an ultrasound, and if you don't know, when they do an ultrasound, they put a bunch of lube on your belly, and when you're really pregnant, you tend to play with your belly button or rub your belly or whatever, and I was doing that, and this goo came out of my belly button, and I was like, oh no, it's happening, and I text Brittany to tell her, but it turns out it was just the lube from the ultrasound.
Still gross.
Disgusting. Brittany's wife texts me back and says, Brittany just threw the phone down and ran to the bathroom. And I was laughing hysterically.
It was so bad. I was so thankful that I did not get to that point in pregnancy where your belly button popped out because I don't think I would have been able to handle it.
Yeah, mine was pretty close, but it never did.
This is also another iconic scene because Kevin decides to put on aftershave. I have never used aftershave, so I don't know how it works, but it obviously burns him because when he puts it on his cheeks, he screams.
Yeah, that was a question in my notes as well, was, does aftershave really burn? I don't know either, because I've never used it, so let us know.
I think that it's supposed to burn somewhat if you've shaved, because It's supposed to reduce razor burn. But if he hasn't actually shaved, I don't know how much it would really burn.
I was wondering if it was like astringent. You know how that kind of tingles?
Yeah, it could be. But it was a cute scene nonetheless.
Yeah.
And he does it a couple of times. He is doing this because he's going to go out and get his toothbrush. He didn't have a toothbrush. He couldn't find it anywhere.
Oh my god. What kid is like, oh, I can't find my toothbrush. I better get all jazzed up and go to the store and buy one.
Yeah, the only thing I can think is he's really overcompensating because he's not an adult, but he's supposed to be an adult at this point. It's only him. So he's just mimicking what he believes grown-ups do. But I can promise you, Kevin, we do not do all of that just to go to the store and buy a toothbrush. Some people go in their pajama pants.
I go in my pajama pants.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not really, but I do go in, like, leggings or gym shorts, which is what I wear for pajamas, so it's the same.
He asks the woman at the counter if this toothbrush has been approved by the American Dental Association. She says, I don't know. He says, well, can you find out for me? So she calls somebody over, and while all this is happening, Marley shows up. He slams his hand down on the counter. It's covered in blood. He's got a pack of Band-Aids in his hand, so obviously he's there to take care of that. If you've been told this man murders people, it would be a scary situation. Also, I know that we find out later that Marley's a good guy, but why does he have to look at everyone the way that he does? He looks scary as shit.
Maybe he just has resting scary face.
Maybe. But this is enough to spook Kevin, and he takes off with the toothbrush in hand, and a cop chases him because he's a shoplifter now.
I mean, how much does a standard toothbrush cost in the 90s? Like $1?
Right. We don't even know if it's approved by the American Dental Association.
I know. It probably wasn't even $1 then.
No. He loses the cop. As he's walking, he's so upset. He's like a criminal. That's what I am. I'm just a criminal. He almost gets run over by Marv and Harry. They talk to him, and they're actually kind of nice to him in this scene because, like, they're like, hey, you need to watch where you're going. You could really get hurt. And he's like, okay, I will. This is where Harry notices that Kevin looks at him funny. Kevin looks at him funny because when Harry smiles, he's got a gold tooth, and that's how Kevin recognizes him as the cop that was in the house. Harry says, I don't like the way the kid just looked at me. We're gonna follow him. They're following him, not very inconspicuously, because, like, Kevin turns around and they just stop in the middle of the road and whistle and look around. Come on, guys. Kevin takes off running. He is so smart. He runs to the church. They think he went inside of the church, but actually he's hiding in the nativity scene. I thought that was super smart.
Yeah.
When Kate is in the airport, this is where we meet John Candy. He hears her begging this guy to, find a flight, because he says, if there was anything I can do, and she says, do it, then do it. Like, I need you to do it. John Candy says, you know what? We're going to talk for a little bit over here. He tells her his friend is renting a van. They're going, I can't remember where they're going, but they're, like, passing through Chicago, and he's like, you're more than welcome to ride with us. So she takes him up on the offer. It ends up they're like a polka band or something. This is like my nightmare.
What?
I do not like polka music, but I will say that their Christmas music I was kind of digging. Also, I just love John Candy.
Yeah.
In everything that he has been in, he was phenomenal.
The Great Outdoors.
Yes. And I just watched Summer Rental for the first time the other day. He's really good in that, too.
I don't know that one.
It's on Vudu.
Alright, I'll have to check it out.
In the meantime, Kevin also goes to the grocery store. He gets everything that he needs. It's really cute. He gets to the counter. The woman asks him if he's by himself. He says, lady, I'm 8 years old. Would I be out shopping for groceries by myself? She says, where's your mom? She's in the car. Where's your dad? He's at work. Where are your brothers and sisters? I'm an only child. It's also cute because he bought army men, and she looks at him and he says, it's for the kids.
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't have brothers or sisters. Who are you buying these for?
And he says, are these TV dinners or frozen dinners any good? She's like, I don't know. And he's like, I'll give them a whirl.
Yeah. He also has a coupon for the orange juice.
Yeah.
He gets the groceries and he's carrying them home. And, you feel for this kid because he has to walk everywhere. He can't drive. And he's walking down the sidewalk and both bags at the same time just give out and everything in them hits the sidewalk.
This is really symbolic of being an adult.
Yes. And his acting is very good in this scene because he just looks like he gives up on life.
Yeah.
Harry and Marv overhear while they are stealing from another home that the McAllisters are out of town because they're calling all of the neighbors trying to say, hey, Kevin's home alone, can you check on them? But all of the neighbors are out of town too because apparently that's what rich people do at Christmas. They don't spend time at home with their family. They go on trips. They go to check it out, and when they go to check it out, they see a party going on. The party is Kevin with, these mannequins, which we see the mannequins in the basement at the beginning, when he sees that, coal furnace or whatever that terrifies the hell out of him.
Yeah.
He walks past these mannequins, and I immediately was like, this basement is creepy as hell. Look at all of these, human heads and torsos. Obviously, there's a sewer in the family, because that's what they are. It's like a model. Yeah. He uses these as props. He lights all of the house up to where all you can see is the silhouettes of these things. He has a Michael Jordan cardboard cutout that's on the toy Christmas train going around the house. And he's got strings attached to everything to make it look like they're drinking beer and they're dancing. It's really smart, and they're like, the whole house is jumping, we need to get out of here.
This 7-year-old is a genius.
Yeah. But when he's walking back from the grocery store, they see that he goes to this house. So, they're thinking something's up there. As they're watching the house the next day, they're like, the house was jumping last night, and now nothing is going on. So he tells Marv, go check it out. That is when Kevin puts on the movie that scared him in the beginning. And we've already seen this at this point in the movie because he's also ordered a pizza and pulled this trick on the pizza guy. He plays the movie, like certain parts of it for the pizza guy, to where the dialogue matches what he's saying. He scares the pizza guy just by playing the movie. With Marv, he not only plays the movie, he goes and he gets a pot and he puts firecrackers that he has found in Buzz's chest and lights them on fire, and it sounds like gunshots. They go off at the exact perfect moment. Marv thinks that someone just got murdered in this house. He tells Harry, someone beat us to the punch, that they're arguing in there, and one of them just blew the other one away. Snakes was the one guy's name. Harry keeps saying, snakes, snakes. Where have I heard that name before? Marv wants to leave, but Harry tells him we shouldn't leave because we need to wait and see who it is. That way, if these people get caught, but they think that it's us, we have some type of leverage to kind of get off on this. We can say, it wasn't us, it was this guy. They don't want to go down for murder when they're just doing petty theft. They end up falling asleep, and we see Kevin come out. He chops the top off of an evergreen tree for a Christmas tree and takes it inside. They go look through the window as he's decorating the tree. Kevin sees Harry in the reflection of one of the ornaments. He is a quick thinker because he says, Dad, can you come help? But nobody comes, and Harry realizes right away this kid is home alone. So he tells Marv, we're going to come back. We're going to come back tonight at 9 o'clock. Kevin overhears this, and he immediately sets this plan into motion.
And Marv says, yeah, because it'll be dark then, and kids are afraid of the dark. And Harry says, Marv, you're afraid of the dark.
Yeah. These two are so good. Like, they play off of each other really well. They're villains, and you don't like them, but they're funny as hell.
They're so stupid. Because they just keep arguing. He's like, no, I'm not. Yeah, you are. They're just arguing like kids as they walk away.
So Kevin has this blueprint, and it is exactly what you would think an 8-year-old boy would draw up. It's so cute until you actually see it go into motion, and then you're like, how in the hell did this kid come up with this?
I don't know, because I'm still trying to figure out what even was that hot thing that he put on the doorknob.
Yeah, I don't know what that was either.
This is like one of those things, what are they called? One of those machines where you like put the ball down the ramp at the one end.
Oh,
and
like a simple machine?
It's one of those things you always want to do, but it's like, where do you even start? How do you come up with that?
I think it might be something that you would put under a sink to keep your pipes from freezing.
Oh, maybe.
I know that my mom and stepdad, they live in a home that was built in the 70s, so the plumbing's not great, and they have to hang stuff, like, under the sink in the bathrooms so that stuff doesn't freeze up.
Okay.
But I don't know that for a fact.
Hey, if anybody knows, let us know.
Yep.
Because I am really curious.
So he makes this plan, but in the meantime, he needs to go talk to Santa Claus.
Obviously.
Yeah, he needs to make his Christmas Eve wish of getting his family back. So he goes to the quote-unquote North Pole. He finds an elf who he admires her shoes. He asks her, hey, is Santa here? She says, if you hurry, you'll catch him, because he's just getting into his car. He runs over, catches the guy smoking a cigarette with his beard down, and he says, I know that you're not the real Santa Claus. And he says, well, what makes you think that? And then he realizes that his beard is off. And he said, I'm old enough to know how it works. I know that you just work for him, but I also know that you can give him a message. All I really want for Christmas is my family back. And he names all of them, and then at the end he says, even Uncle Frank if he has time. And I loved that because, like you said, Frank is just a dick. I really wouldn't wish for him back.
Yeah, he is. I like how Santa gives him some Tic Tacs.
Yeah, because he's out of candy canes.
He says, hold out your paw.
So Kevin is walking home, and he sees a bunch of families in their homes, and he's getting jealous. He walks by the church, and he hears a choir. He ends up going in. I would have gone into, I love choir music. It was really pretty.
Yeah.
He goes in, and when he's there, Marley is sitting in a pew. He freaks out initially because Marley gets up and he walks over to him, but Marley smiles at him and he says, Merry Christmas, can I sit down? And Kevin nods. So they have this really heartfelt conversation about Kevin has not been good this year. He does admit that. He's not been a good kid. Marley tells him that's okay. A lot of times that's what people come here for, because they haven't been the best. Kevin says, is that why you're here? And he says, no, the little redheaded girl in the choir, that's my granddaughter. He says, well, why don't you stay and talk to her? And he says, I can't. My son and I had a falling out. I'm not exactly welcome. Kevin says, well, have you tried talking to your son? And he says, no, because I'm afraid that he's gonna tell me to, I guess, fuck off. He doesn't say that, but I can't think of a better term.
That's a pretty good term.
Yeah. So Kevin says, well, I think that you should talk to him because at least then you'll know and you won't have to worry about whether he's going to accept you or not. So he says, I'll think about that. This is when the church bells ring and Kevin's like, I have to go, because he's trying to get home to set up these booby traps before the burglars come. This scene is so cute to me. He's setting the table, he's making his microwaved macaroni and cheese, he even says a prayer before he starts eating, but the poor kid doesn't even get to eat, because that's when Marv and Harry show up. This is where the real movie begins. This is the part that everybody remembers, is when the wet bandits are trying to break into the house. The first thing that happens is Harry sends Marv down to the basement, and he's going to go around front. So they're going to go in two separate ways. Harry is going down the basement, which Kevin has put water all over the stairs, so Marv falls all the way down the stairs to the bottom where the door is. Harry, when he steps on the front step and falls over, I laughed so hard. I don't know what it is about the way that man hits the ground. It makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, this really gave me anxiety as an adult. I don't know why whenever people are falling or getting hurt, it really just gives me that anxious feeling.
Well, mine is walking on ice. When you walk outside to get in your car and your driveway is like that, it's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Marv finally uses the crowbar to stand up downstairs, and Harry does get to the top of the steps. Marv goes into the basement.
I think before they go to the basement, they go to the back door with the doggy door.
Oh, yes. And Marv gets shot with the BB gun.
Do they even have a dog?
That's a good point. You never do see a dog.
I definitely would not have a doggy door if I didn't have a dog. It's for the tarantula, probably.
Probably.
Obviously. What was I thinking?
Harry gets shot in the crotch, and Marv gets shot in the face. This is when they split up. Harry makes it into the basement, and when he makes it into the basement, there are a few things that happen. He walks in, the basement door is unlocked. He pulls on a light switch, or what he thinks is a light switch, and it's actually attached to an iron upstairs, and it comes down through the laundry chute and hits him square in the face. That was super, super genius. Harry makes it to the top of the steps, and when he grabs the doorknob, his hand is burnt so bad because Kevin has that heat coil or whatever on the other side of the door. If he would have taken 2 seconds to look at that doorknob, he would have seen that it was hot. It was red hot. So he kind of deserved this. He runs back down the stairs that he just took forever getting up and slams his hand into the ice. He goes back up the stairs, gets the door open, and as soon as he gets the door open, there's a blowtorch that sets his hat on fire, and again, he runs down and sticks his head in the snow. This poor guy, Marv gets it bad. He does get hurt, but burns are a whole different level of pain. I honestly don't know how Harry even functions after he burns his hand. His head, he's not touching anything, so I can kind of see that being okay, even though you can clearly see that the nylon of his cap is burnt into his scalp.
Yeah.
But how is he touching? Like, he wraps something around his hand and he's just supposed to be okay after that? That's not how it works.
I don't know, but when the cop, like, pushes his head down to get in the cop car later on.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that would hurt. Harry recovers from getting hit in the face with an iron and goes to walk up the steps. He's put tar on the steps, so he has to take his shoes off to get up the steps. And there's also a shingle with a nail through it. This is my least favorite part of this movie. It always has been. It makes me cringe every single time. But he does eventually make it upstairs. Harry makes it inside because he bursts through the front door. When he bursts through the front door, he makes it into another room where he walks through. It's like saran wrap with something sticky on it. And he trips a wire that, like, it essentially tar and feathers him. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about when, after that happens, and Marv comes in and he's like, did you take your shoes off? And he's like, why are you dressed as a chicken?
Yeah, and when I say Marv came upstairs, what I mean is he went out and around and back in through the window where there were Christmas ornaments, and he steps on those after he's already stepped on a nail. Kevin is waiting for them on the stairs and kind of baiting them a little bit. They walk to the stairs and trip on all of these little micro minis, which my dad collected these, and I loved them.
But, like, any little tiny toy like that is not fun for your feet.
No, it's dangerous.
I've tripped over so many things in the middle of the night.
They recover and try to go up the stairs, and when they go up the stairs, Kevin has paint cans tied to a rope and lets them go. It hits them so hard and knocks them off of the stairs, and I feel like this would kill them.
I think a lot of this would probably... I wrote down in my notes, I would have given up a lot sooner. Like, the first thing, I would have been like, see you later. It's not worth it.
There's a few things I don't understand. Yes, like you said, why didn't they just give up? I know that they're mad or whatever. And that brings up a question, and I almost asked this on Twitter today. Do you think that Marv and Harry would have actually killed Kevin?
I don't think that they would have, but that's the other thing about this movie as an adult. Like, it's really, like, pedophile-y / child endangerment.
Yeah, I keep thinking the same thing. Like, you don't want to go to that, and you don't want to be that morbid. It's a children's movie, but why didn't they just let it go otherwise? Like, I feel like they really did want to hurt this kid.
I don't know why they want to hurt him. It's just ruining their silver tuna.
I guess. Anyway, when they do finally get upstairs, they almost catch him. When he's going up the attic steps, Marv gets a hold of him. Thank God, Buzz's tarantula is on the stairs. He grabs the tarantula and puts it on Marv's face, and Marv screams like a little bitch.
Yeah, he does.
He gets the tarantula off of him. Kevin runs upstairs. He's got this little, like, zip line set up that he's going to use his bicycle handlebars and go down the rope. It works really well, except for it doesn't have brakes, so he hits the treehouse really hard. Like, his feet go through the treehouse. But he makes it in one piece. Marv sees the spider on Harry's chest and takes the crowbar and hits him so hard in the chest. Marv and Harry run upstairs where Kevin was, and they see the zip line. Obviously, they don't have the handlebars anymore, but they decide they're going to crawl across the rope, and this is where I still stand behind. Harry would not be able to do this with that burnt hand.
Yes, and neither of them would have been able to do it anyway, because, like, we've seen Survivor. We know how much upper body strength this takes, and I don't think if they're getting outsmarted by this 7-year-old, I don't think that they have that much upper body strength or
brain strength,
phys ed to be able to maneuver this obstacle.
No, and rope burn is like the worst thing.
Yeah.
But they get not even halfway. Kevin cuts the line, and they hit the side of the brick house. Kevin gets down, runs through the neighbor's house that is flooded because they have been in that house and flooded the basement. And when he gets upstairs and opens the door, you see Marv and Harry standing at the door because Harry is smart enough to realize that Kevin's trying to get them to follow him. They get a hold of him. They hang him on a coat hook. Harry bites Kevin's fingers and everything. And when they turn around, Marley is there and hits them both square in the face with a shovel. He saves the day. He gets Kevin off of the hook. He calls the police. The police come and get him. They know every house that has been hit because Marv has been turning on the faucets at every house and flooding everything because he's a real genius.
They're the wet bandits.
Right. But this is where I think they might have actually tried to kill Kevin because Kevin leaves the house. If their only thought was to steal from this house, they could have run back in and grabbed everything they could and left.
You're right.
But they didn't. They followed him.
I don't know, though, if they're really trying to kill him. I think they were just mad.
Maybe. But they get arrested. Marley takes Kevin home. Kevin goes to bed. He wakes up the next morning. It's snowing. It's Christmas morning. He asks Santa for his family back, so he's really excited to go downstairs and see him. But when he gets down there, nobody is there. Until his mom walks through the door. I love this scene. It's a very emotional scene. These two individuals who you see fighting with each other, and, Kevin basically claiming that he hates her. There's so much love in this moment. You also see the rest of the family come in not 5 seconds behind her because they just waited for the flight that the woman told her about. I mean, I'm not making fun of her. I totally get it. I would have been the same way. Like, get me home now. But realistically, had she just waited with the rest of the family, she would have gotten there at pretty much the exact same time.
And she would not have had to listen to Polka.
Kevin is really, really happy that his family's home. He's looking out the window and he notices that Marley has taken his advice and he's called his son because he is hugging his granddaughter. They're over at Marley's house visiting for Christmas. He invites his son inside. They make eye contact. This is also a heartfelt moment. As he watches Marley and his family walk into the house, you hear Buzz yell, "Kevin, what did you do to my room?"
That was the part when he was looking at Marley. That was the point when I texted you and said, I refuse to let Home Alone make me cry.
It really is heartfelt in the end.
But Buzz also said something sweet before he saw his room. He said, "Kevin, it's pretty cool that you didn't burn the house down," which is basically Buzz's way of saying, I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't die.
Right. We forgot to talk about Buzz's girlfriend.
Yes, that is, we have a social media comment that actually brings this line up, but
okay.
I laughed really hard at that part, too, when he looks at that picture and he says, "Buzz, your girlfriend, woof."
That's, my favorite line from this movie / most quoted line from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't say the whole thing, but I do say woof a lot.
Yes, I have noticed that. But yeah, that was Home Alone. I do. I watch this movie every year at Christmas time. I love it. It makes me crave pizza every single time I watch it, which is why I got Little Caesars today.
I'm so mad I didn't get pizza.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
It's alright. I don't even like pizza that much, but I really, really wanted it today. That's alright. It's not that I don't like it, it's just that I'm burnt out on it, because Chad always eats pizza.
Mary turns everything into pizza. She's like, "Oh, just add some cheese and pepperoni to your scrambled eggs. Let's make a pizzadilla," which is just a quesadilla with pepperoni and cheese. Like, everything she just adds pepperoni and cheese to, and she thinks that she's created this new dish.
That's funny.
And she's like, "I like pizza. I like pizza too, but not enough that I'm going to turn every meal into a pizza hybrid."
Hey, this is not really related to Macaulay Culkin, but Mary-Kate and Ashley used to have a song about pizza.
Really?
On one of their little things. Yeah.
Well, Macaulay Culkin is part of, a comedy band called the Underground Pizza.
What?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Okame.
We are the Super Media Bros Podcast.
Each week, we give a comedically informative take on movies,
Music,
television,
video games,
and much more.
Put your shades on and listen to all episodes on supermediabrospodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah,
Shades on!
we're off.
So, now that we've given you some of those random facts, let's go into some random facts of the movie.
Some real random facts.
Yes. So, the first one I have is Kevin's line, "You guys give up, or are you thirsty for more?" was improvised by Macaulay Culkin.
Wow. How old was he in real life during this?
I'm not sure. I didn't look that up. I'd probably have to do math, and I'm not doing that.
Ugh, math.
Yeah, I just can't do it. Also, these random facts came from Fascinate.com. I always try to do that.
Yeah, I think it's really nice how you cite your work. That's weird.
Yeah, I know. I try to do it, and there have been a couple of times when I have screwed up and I've forgotten, and I don't realize until I go to edit, but I really try to do it every time. So the scary furnace in the basement was actually brought to life using only 2 guys with strings and flashlights. Columbus originally wanted the furnace to be CGI, but it couldn't be done within the $18 million budget.
$18 million?
Yes.
Jesus.
I know, for some paint cans and rope? My God. Like, I'm going to do a photo shoot for my Christmas card this year, and it's going to be a Home Alone thing with my son. I can tell you, I didn't have to spend $18 million.
Well, I would hope not.
Screenwriter John Hughes, which I just want to point out also wrote National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, wrote the entire script in just 9 days after a bout of traveler's anxiety.
That's funny.
The role of Kevin was written specifically for Macaulay Culkin, but despite that, they still auditioned more than 100 kids before awarding the role to Culkin, possibly so they could shatter as many preteen dreams as possible. But yeah, he had apparently worked on Uncle Buck, so he'd worked with these people before, so they made that role for him. In 2014, Catherine O'Hara revealed that Macaulay Culkin still calls her mom, which is an odd mix of being both creepy and endearing. I figured you'd like that one since you like Catherine O'Hara.
I do.
Home Alone was the highest grossing film of 1990 and earned a Guinness World Record as the highest grossing live action comedy ever domestically. Although if you adjust for inflation, Beverly Hills Cop is actually numero uno. Due to its unprecedented success, Home Alone became a verb in the Hollywood lexicon to describe a film that suffered because they had to compete against another film's long and successful run. Using it in a sentence, one would say, "My movie would have made more money, but it got Home Aloned. It got Home Aloned right in the face."
Oh.
Watching Home Alone has become a Christmas tradition in Poland, airing on national television since the early 1990s. In 2011, a rerun of Home Alone was the most watched show of the season. This one was kind of odd, but there are some people who believe that Elvis is alive and well and makes a cameo appearance in Home Alone as an extra.
Who?
Elvis.
Elvis?
Elvis.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to Google it and look, because I don't even know where to look for him. Because Pesci was accustomed to being on more adult-oriented films, such as Raging Bull, Goodfellas, and Casino, he wasn't used to self-censoring his language on a family-friendly set. He dropped more than a few F-bombs until Columbus suggested he use the word fridge instead. Daniel Stern also had a curse word slip-up, uttering the word shit as he tries to retrieve his shoe through the doggy door. For some reason, this was left in the film. Compared to everything else in the film, iron to the face, blowtorch to the head, the glass ornaments that Marv steps on would have caused the least damage, and in the film, the glass ornaments were actually made of candy.
That's funny.
Daniel Stern wore rubber feet to film the scene where he steps on the ornaments because stepping on candy still hurts.
I bet. That reminds me of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. The spider on Marv's face was real. Daniel Stern agreed to have a real spider on his face, but only for one take, which is reasonable. Despite rumors to the contrary, the scream that Daniel Stern belts out during the tarantula scene was not mimed on set and dubbed in later. It was real. The spider's poison was also not extracted, as some had thought.
Wait, they're poisonous?
Yeah, like the most poisonous spider.
Am I an idiot?
No.
I didn't know that.
I think technically daddy longlegs are the most poisonous, but they don't have fangs long enough to bite you, so they're actually harmless.
That's weird. But what about, why do people have tarantulas as pets if they're poisonous?
Because a lot of times they take the poison out, so they're not actually poisonous. Also,
Okay.
I don't think that they're as dangerous if they don't feel like they are endangered. So, like, as a pet, I don't know. I wouldn't handle it very much. The picture that Kevin finds of Buzz's girlfriend was actually a picture of a boy made to look like a girl because director Chris Columbus thought it'd be cruel to make fun of a girl like that.
That's nice.
Yeah. It also says, but making fun of a child cross-dresser, apparently that was acceptable in the 90s.
Well, let's just not make fun of anybody but Buzz, your girlfriend.
I want to argue that this kid probably is not an actual cross-dresser.
Right.
He's a kid in a costume who was purposely trying to look silly. So I feel like that's okay. John Candy filmed his scenes in one day, but it was a long day. 23 hours to be exact.
Yikes. I wouldn't really count that as one day. I mean, I guess
I know.
technically it's one day, but it's at least 2 working days.
Right. And the whole story about having once forgotten his son at a funeral home, totally improvised.
That was a messed up story.
That was a messed up story. I also really liked the scene in the back where he's trying to get her to play the clarinet and she's like, oh no. And he's like, oh, come on, no. And she's come on, no. And he's just like, okay. Based on all the violence that the wet bandits endured at the hands of an 8-year-old, according to a doctor, they would likely have been grievously injured and requiring serious medical attention, assuming they survived.
Yeah, I don't think they would have survived.
No. First of all, Harry at least would have gone into shock with the burns. I still stand behind that. Mm-hmm. The paint cans to the face, that would have, at the very least, broken some bones.
It probably would have knocked him unconscious for a minute.
Angels with Filthy Souls, the Jimmy Cagney-like gangster movie that Kevin channels as his inspiration throughout the film, was made up specifically for the movie. So was the sequel, Angels with Even Filthier Souls. Old Man Marley, the scary neighbor who eventually teaches Kevin the importance of family, wasn't in the original script. He was added at Columbus's suggestion, who felt that the film needed an additional dose of sentiment. After all, it's a Christmas movie.
I guess.
And last but not least, in order to be as terrifying as possible to young Macaulay Culkin while on the set, Joe Pesci decided to avoid Culkin. He wanted to make sure the child actor didn't find him too familiar. It also helped that Pesci accidentally broke through the skin when he threatened to bite off all of Culkin's fingers.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes. And that is all of the random facts that I have for you. So do you want to go into social media?
Yeah. Okay, on Facebook, Molly Gilmore Means says, "This movie is Christmas to me. The soundtrack is what Christmas sounds like. Some of my favorite moments, the church scene, obviously. Buzz, your girlfriend, woof. Angels with Filthy Souls, the movie within a movie. I have a sweater that says, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. The scene at the end when you see Old Man Marley see his granddaughter through the window. And I could keep going. I love this movie."
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I am jealous of the shirt. I might have to try to make myself one this year.
Yes. On Twitter, we had a different reaction. Thomas's reaction says, "It's a fun Christmas film. Nothing special." Really, Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, I disagree, but I can see kind of,
okay.
Like, if you're watching it as an adult, like, we watched it as kids, so we have that nostalgia about it. If you're looking at it in terms of a critic in today's time, okay, it's this little brat who's after burglars. So, I mean, I get it, but to me, it holds a special place in my heart, and I love this movie.
Well, Thomas doesn't look very old, so...
Yeah.
He's probably not having the same experience as us.
Probably not. But to each their own, and that's his opinion,
right. I mean,
and we're going to include
fine.
it. Yep.
You have your own opinion. I'm just shocked. But, I mean, I hated The Witch. So.
Exactly, that's what
do
I was
I know?
Look at us.
I literally know nothing. I'm like Jon Snow.
But yeah, this episode was so fun. I watched this movie twice to prep for this episode.
Oh my gosh.
I'm really glad that you guys chose this movie because it is one of my favorites, and I had a lot of fun, prepping for it. It was really really good. So thank you for that, and thank you for listening. Next week, we're coming back with a Charlie Brown Christmas. It's going to be short and sweet, but we did that for a reason, because it's going to be coming out the week of Christmas, and I'm sure you all are going to be busy.
Yeah, you don't have time to listen to us jabber on about nothingness.
So stay tuned for that, and that's going to round out our Christmas season. So please continue listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Merry Christmas!